Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Deji Badimasi. Adamawa State in northeast Nigeria now has a new governor. He is Bala James Ngelari, the former deputy governor of the state. A federal high court in Abuja today ordered that he be sworn in as governor in place of the acting governor of the state, Umaru Fintiri. Justice Adeni Ademola, in his judgment, rules that the purported resignation of Ngelari on July 14, 2014 was invalid, null and void, as it breached the provisions of sections 306, subsection 1, subsection 2, and subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution because it was addressed to the Speaker and acted upon by the House of Assembly. Hours after that judgment, the former deputy governor of the state and was actually sworn in by the acting chief judge, Mr. Ngelari, of course, was deputy to impeach Governor Murtala Nyako and, of course, had filed a suit before the Federal High Court seeking an order compelling his swearing in as the governor of the state. He had asked the court to declare his resignation letter dated July 14, 2014 and addressed to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly as illegal, null and void. As a result of the court verdict, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has now cancelled the Adamawa State by-election scheduled for Saturday, October 11th. Ngelari will now complete the tenure of former Governor Nyako, who was impeached following allegations of gross misconduct against him. Now, the former acting governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, has already begun fighting his removal from office. He has asked his lawyers to appeal the Federal High Court's ruling, which ordered his removal as acting governor of the state. Now, had Fintiri not been removed, he would have been the governorship candidate of the PDP in the governorship by-election, which had been scheduled for Saturday, the 11th. Well, that by-election has now been cancelled following the dramatic court ruling today. The national leadership of the People's Democratic Party has accepted the judgment of the court. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Chief Olisametu, who addressed newsmen after the party's National Working Committee meeting in Abuja, said though the judgment did not foreclose appeal by parties to the case, members of the party in the state must comply with the judgment. Also reacting to the news, the Adamawa State chapter of the opposition All Progressives Congress APC said the ruling is a welcome development for the state. Now we're trying to reach the council now to the current governor now of the state, that's Festus Keyamo. We're trying to reach him to actually get more from him on this. Now, we'll try to establish contact with him in the course of the news. Now, we have seen the list of the richest men on earth, the richest women, and even the richest black men. Now, imagine a list of the richest African heads of state. Now, as controversial as it might seem, a US-based website, richestlifestyle.com, has released a list that it says are the richest African presidents. Our own President Goodluck Jonathan was ranked jointly 6th with the King of Swaziland with an estimated net worth of $100 million. Angola President Jose Eduardo dos Santos of Angola tops the list actually with a net worth of $20 billion. Mohammed VI of Morocco comes a distant second at $2.5 million. Teodoro Obiang Nguema Maboso of Equatorial Guinea makes it at $600 million. By the way, Equatorial Guinea is a very poor state. Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, who of course is at The Hague as we speak, is fourth with $500 million. And Paul Biya of Cameroon, who has been president there for over 20 years, ranks 5th at $200 million. Idris Deby of Chad and Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe both round off the list at $10 million and $50 million respectively. Well, the Nigerian presidency has condemned the inclusion of President Goodluck Jonathan in the list, describing it as another attempt to unjustifiably portray the president as a corrupt leader and incite public disaffection against him. Now, presidential spokesperson Reuben Abati in a statement said, quote, We categorically assert that there's no factual basis for ranking President Jonathan as the sixth richest African head of state with a net worth of about $100 million. End of quote. The presidential spokesperson demanded a retraction and an apology from the US-based website, saying the president's inclusion in the list is an unacceptable imputation that the president has corruptly enriched himself while in office, which he says is certainly not the case. Well, it's a very controversial list, I must confess, but, well, we don't know if President Goodluck Jonathan is actually the sixth richest president in this country. Very controversial. Let me just not say anything. Now, opposition party, the All Progressives Congress, has called on President Goodluck Jonathan to explain to Nigerians what Mujahid Asari Dokubo was doing on the plane that illegally ferried $9.3 million to South Africa for an arms deal, where Asari, another Nigerian, and an Israeli were arrested, according to a published report. Now, the party, in a statement by a spokesperson, Lai Mohammed, said since the federal government has taken ownership of the funds by saying the National Security Advisor issued the end-user certificate for the arms purchase, it stands to reason that the same government will know the involvement of all those aboard the plane. APC said the federal government has a lot of questions to answer on the whole deal, including whether Asari Dokubo is a contractor or the end-user, who he was actually procuring arms for and for what purpose. He added that since those who claim to be fighting for Nigeria's unity may actually be the ones working against it, it is more urgent now than ever for the National Assembly to take this cash for arms deals seriously instead of dismissing the concerns of Nigerians. Now, schools have resumed in the Nigerian commercial city of Lagos following a very lengthy break because of the outbreak of the Ebola virus in the city about 3 months ago. The virus has now been contained in Nigeria, but the students are resuming to a new reality. TV360's Thelma Okoro reports.
After an unusually long holiday, it's back to school for these students and their teachers. But their morning routine will no longer be the same again. When the students went on holiday back in July, this was not part of their routine, but it is now because of Ebola. It is true that Ebola has been contained in Nigeria, but authorities here are not taking chances. So every morning when students resume, the first thing they must do is wash their hands before they are allowed to go into the classrooms. Across schools in Lagos, hand washing is now mandatory under the supervision of a teacher who serves as the Ebola contact person. Every school now has its own Ebola contact person who has been given the necessary training. School principal Kuti Tony says her school is now prepared and equipped for any eventuality.
Lagos State government has really tried, they really stood up to the challenge. You can see that our washing hand basin, the soul, they have an Ebola contact person that has been trained, which we went for a seminar, we've been trained. So many of the management staff have been trained. And when the students came, we've been able to give them a short seminar on how to wash their hands and how to be able to avoid this Ebola. And if there's anything, we have what we call the non-contact infrared thermometer, so that if anybody is sick, we have a little standard sick bay where anybody who is sick can be taken and then the person will be set there. And we have told them, and we are going to hold meetings with the parents, that when a child is sick, it's better for the child to stay at home. So everything has been put in place, and Lagos State government really stood up to the challenge, and we are really ready to work.
The routine might take some time getting used to, but the school authorities say they would ensure the hand washing process becomes part of school culture. Thelma Okoro, TV360, Lagos.
Now, the first person to be diagnosed with a deadly Ebola virus on U.S. soil has died. Texas hospital officials have confirmed Thomas Eric Duncan, a Liberian national, died Wednesday morning at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, weeks after traveling to the United States from his country, Liberia. He had been in official critical condition, actually, after being diagnosed with the virus in mid-September. On Tuesday, the hospital said that Duncan, who was fighting for his life, had been placed on a ventilator and a kidney dialysis machine to help stabilize his health. He was also being given the experimental medication Now, that's a very difficult name to pronounce, but it's actually pronounced Brincidovia. However, he still succumbed to the deadly virus. News of Duncan's death comes as the U.S. announced new security procedures at entry points to check travelers for symptoms of the virus. The screenings may begin this weekend or next week. Among the countries considered to be in the so-called Ebola zone are Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Nigeria. Now, if you recall, Nigeria has already been declared Ebola-free by the World Health Organization after no new cases of deaths were recorded in weeks. Over 3,439 people have died from the Ebola virus outbreak in 5 West African countries. The Spanish nurse who became the first person known to be infected with Ebola outside Africa remembers touching her face with her gloves after treating a dying priest, a doctor in Madrid said Wednesday. Teresa Romero treated 2 Spanish missionaries who eventually died of Ebola last month after being flown in from West Africa. 4 people, including the nurse who tested positive for the virus on Monday, her husband who is showing no symptoms of the disease, and 2 other people, one from Nigeria, are being closely monitored in the hospital. Rafael Perez Santamaria, head of the Carlos III Hospital, told a news conference in Madrid. Earlier, World Health Organization advisor warned that more Ebola cases could be expected among medical staff, even in developed countries. We'll take a short break now, and News Now will be back shortly.
The search for the next Nigerian Investigative Reporter of the Year is on. The Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, WSCIJ, requests entries for the 9th Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting from Nigerian professional reporters with investigative reports published between 4th October 2013 and 3rd October 2014. Categories: print, radio, online, local government, sports, television, photography, climate change, cartoon, health, and report women. Do you fit the bill? Submit your entries by the deadline Friday, 24th October 2014 at the WSCIJ office, 55 Awolowo Way, Ikeja, Lagos. Visit www.wscij.org or call 080-2439-5083 for more details. Investigative reporting is the vital force for the restoration of human dignity.
Welcome back. Deposit money banks in the country are gearing up to invest over about 598 billion naira in the power sector, the Federal Minister of Power has said. Figures contained in the latest Power Enabling Nigeria publication for the second quarter of 2014 showed that the banks had adopted different modules in a bid to raise funds that would enable them to finance the sector. Among the modules adopted by the banks are the sale of dollar-denominated bonds, issuance of euro bonds, and raising funds for the equities market to invest in the private in the power industry. The over $3.623 billion investment is in addition to $1.3 billion total banking loans to the sector in 2013 for the electricity distribution companies and $1.7 billion for the power generation firms. Now, the World Bank has said Nigeria's GDP growth is expected to grow higher by at least 5% in the year 2015. Despite weaker than expected global growth and stable or declining commodity prices, African economies, including Nigeria's, have continued to expand at a moderately rapid pace, with regional gross domestic product projected to strengthen to 5.2% yearly between 2015 and 2016 from 4.6% in 2014, the bank said. According to its new Africa's polls, twice-yearly analysis of the issues shaping Africa's economic prospects, significant investment in infrastructure, increased agricultural production, and expanding services in African retail and telecoms. A trio of researchers comprising 2 Americans and 2 Germans have won the 2014 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, the committee announced Wednesday. Eric Basic, Stefan Hell, and William Mona were awarded the prestigious prize for improving the resolution of microscopes by using fluorescence to extend the limits of the light microscope. The winners will share prize money of 8 million kroner, that's 0.7 million pounds. They were named at a press conference in Sweden and joined a prestigious list of 105 other chemistry laureates recognized since 1901. Established by Swedish industrialist Alfred Nobel, the Nobel Prize have been handed out by award committees in Stockholm and Oslo since 1901. The founder created the prizes in 1895 to honor those who have conferred the greatest benefit to mankind with works in physics, chemistry, literature, and peace. To sports now. Nigeria Super Falcons have finally left the country for the upcoming African Women Championship. Nigeria's senior women team will make their trip to Namibia for the African Women Championship on Wednesday as they finally receive their entry visas to the host nation. The Nigerian ladies will be participating in the 8th-nation International Women Tournament taking place in Windhoek, Namibia from October 11th to 25th. The Super Falcons are the most successful side in the competition with 8 titles to their name. They have been grouped alongside host Namibia, Cote d'Ivoire and Zambia in Group A. Nigeria will begin their campaign to regain the African title against Cote d'Ivoire on October 11th at 7 p.m. Nigerian time. The tournament would serve as the continental qualifier for the FIFA Women World Cup in Canada in 2015. The Ghana Football Association has shortlisted 5 coaches to be considered for the vacant position of the coach of the Black Stars, Ghana's senior national football team. Now, a statement posted on the website of the GFA said the 5 coaches were shortlisted following a thorough work by a 3-man committee set up to look for a new coach for the Black Stars. It named them as Israeli Avram Grant, who is a former coach of Chelsea, Dutch assistant coach Patrick Kluivert, Italian Marco Taddei, former Swiss assistant coach Michel Pont, and Spaniard Juan Martinez. The position became vacant after Ghanaian Kwesi Appiah was axed unexpectedly a few weeks ago. Appiah became the first Ghanaian to take the Black Stars to the World Cup, but the team performed dismally, failing to go beyond the group stage. The performance of the Black Stars in the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil was marred by indiscipline by the players. Well, that's it on News Now. We thank you very much for joining us. We're back again shortly.